Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're joined by myself, Mark, and Reece alongside me, and we've just finished FP2, which also ends off the day one here in Mexico for the Mexican Grand Prix, our fourth last race of the season. All of the results have, of course, already been determined, but now we are just seeing who fights for glory, who fights for second place. Sergio Perez at his home Grand Prix is certainly one of those that's fighting out there for it. But as we end FP2, Max Verstappen once again finishes on top with the first 118 of the weekend. Norris also got into the 118s in second place.
Yes, it certainly was looking quite competitive there in that top four, all split by 0.269 seconds, with, as you say, Verstappen topping it, Norris in second, Leclerc third, Bottas in fourth. A bit more pace found from that Alfa Romeo in this session, not what we would have expected. Alex Albon, though, who was relatively rapid in the first practice session, he's all the way down in 14th at the moment. Not where we would have expected him to be, but hopefully there's a bit more pace for him to find before tomorrow's qualifying session. But to make our way through that top 10, to go over it again, Max Verstappen in P1, Lando Norris P2, Charles Leclerc in third, Bottas fourth, Sergio Perez fifth, Daniel Ricciardo having a great day out there, all the way up into P6, finding a lot more pace in his upgraded AlphaTauri. Then we have Lewis Hamilton in P7, not necessarily the best day out there for the Mercedes. I did say, though, during that session, we would expect the Mercedes to be doing a lot more work on understanding their car with its new upgraded floor, and we're going to have to wait and see what they're going to be able to pull out of the bag in tomorrow's practice 3 session, and of course the qualifying. Then Esteban Ocon on 8th, Oscar Piastri quite a bit off of his teammate down in P9. We normally see him take a session or two to warm up, and then he puts in some better lap times on the second day. George Russell then finishing up our top 10 all the way down in 10th place, of course.
Yeah, so then going through our bottom 10, we've got Sainz there in 11th. We're expecting a lot more from him tomorrow. Tsunoda in 12th, getting quite significantly outperformed by his teammate Daniel Ricciardo. In 13th is Guan Yu Zhou. 14th, Albon, as we said, disappointing compared to FP1. Hulkenberg in 15th, though the Haas's were the quickest in the session, clocking 351 kilometers in the speed trap. Gasly there in 16th for Alpine. Sargent in 17th, and then Stroll, Magnussen and Alonso making up a bottom 3. The two Aston Martin drivers both messing up their soft tyre run attempts. They had only one lap to try and put in their quickest time on a set of softs. Alonso spun round, managed to keep it out of the wall, did very well to do so. Stroll also messing up quite significantly, and as a result, both drivers did not put in any soft tyre attempts there, so as a result, right at the back there for Aston Martin. But just going over some of the major highlights for that session, just noting that you said Ricciardo was doing very, very well, but you didn't really notice Bottas doing brilliantly in sport.
I did speak about Bottas there. Being able to pull that car all the way up into P4, I would not have expected the Alfa Romeo to find that much pace out this race weekend. Is this the true pace of the Alfa Romeo, or possibly they're just running some extra, or maybe some even leaner fuels than everyone else, and just being able to find a little bit more time at the moment until everyone else as well takes all the fuel out of their car?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is we keep talking throughout the entire season as to whether or not, certain teams can show us what is genuine pace, but we don't actually really ever see them continue with that pace throughout the rest of the weekend. I'm sure we'll see the same thing from Alfa Romeo and from AlphaTauri. They're currently in 4th and 6th from this session, but again, very much a practice session, hence practice 2. I don't think we'll see the same things in qualifying tomorrow. But what was interesting was a little bit of rain affecting our session. Then also just saying in the comments before this video, also just saying, do you think Ferrari had a strategy involving rain just in case? A plan R maybe. Quite a funny little statement there, but quite genuinely, rain could well be affecting our sessions throughout the rest of the weekend.
Well, it certainly wasn't forecast to affect our race sessions, but it did come in this session and did affect it a little bit. Luckily, the drivers were able to stay out on sets of soft tyres. It only really affected them in that final sector through the baseball stadium, the old baseball stadium rather, and the final corner of the track. But then throughout the rest of the track, it was relatively dry, and they were able to carry on as per usual.
Yeah, indeed, and James in the comments also just let us know, best part of that session was the Aston Martin mechanics forming a wall and not blocking the cameras for the camera crews. Basically, they had free range to what was happening inside the pit, which we did see Jeremy Clarkson's great toolbox being displayed for everybody at home, a whole big set of hammers, which is not something you'd associate too much with these very delicate cars. Yeah.
Yes, with carbon fiber, that breaks relatively easy. They're bringing out the hammers, bringing out Jeremy Clarkson's toolbox, as Mark says. But yes, it was an interesting session there. Not too much in terms of excitement at the top, but a lot of race runs and a lot of data to look at before our race on Sunday. Of course, we're going to have a look at that for all of you guys and let you know throughout the rest of this race weekend. And do be sure to join us for all of those sessions. We do have practice 3 tomorrow afternoon, as well as the qualifying in the evening, and then of course the main events on Sunday, the race.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, just going over those things, certain things right now, based off of day one that we've had now. So FP1 and FP2, we've seen Verstappen top it both times. We've seen the Ferrari and the McLaren sort of there and thereabouts. I mean, is this a precursor for what we're going to expect on Sunday? Do we think it's just going to be a Red Bull running away with it? Can Perez get onto the podium?
Well, there are a lot of questions going into this race weekend, and only time can tell, unfortunately, who will be able to take that top spot. Sergio Perez will certainly be hoping to get to the top of that podium once again and be able to do it in front of his home fans, of course. But Max Verstappen is really on a run of form right now, wanting to take his 16th race win of the season, being able to top that of anyone else and take the biggest race winning victory in an entire season of all. So what can Max Verstappen do? What can the Ferraris do to be able to challenge the likes of the McLarens and the Mercedes, as well as those Red Bulls? What can the McLarens, what can the Mercedes do as well? A lot of questions going into the race on Sunday.
Well, so question after question, all of them will be answered throughout the rest of the weekend on this channel. Of course, you'll join me and Reece for all the various sessions. We are going to head on now to, of course, go to bed because it's a bit late here. It's a very late Grand Prix weekend this weekend. We've got FP3 coming up for you next. We've got qualifying after that, and then the race on Sunday. So, very, very exciting. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments, who do you think and who do you back to win the Grand Prix on Sunday, and also who will top qualifying tomorrow, if it rains or if it does not. All these questions, again, will be answered on the channel. And